The name is real. I get jokes all the time, but don't worry, I just shake it off. So I brought slides today, so this is going to be a little more interactive. So, we're going to talk about writing emails, but the most important thing, and we've kind of already covered this, but it's going to be really, really crucial for the next couple of weeks for all of you to manage your expectations. I remember when I first started my internship, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to staff my member. I'm going to give him really important talking points so that he can go on the House floor and say this or that. My first week, I spent fixing the printer. And gosh darn it, I made sure that I fixed that printer so well that everybody would remember that I was that person that fixed that printer. So it is really, really important for all of you to understand that there are no menial tasks in the office because it is a cohesive environment where everybody has to be working together in order for the office to succeed and therefore for the office to help with constituents. So whatever you're doing, make sure you're doing it to the best of your ability. And, if you have questions, ask, but make sure you're doing things with purpose. So another thing you're going to want to focus on, especially when you're putting together memos or talking points, is you're going to want to find your member's voice. So do that by watching floor speeches, any interviews that your member gives, press conferences, town hall, and of course, read previous press statements, read previous social media posts, floor remarks. All of these things are going to give you the proper background for you to understand how your member conducts themselves in a public manner, so that when you're starting to compile resources, you already know the way that they're going to frame all of their issues. So I know we just talked comms on the last one, but I was a ledge intern and then I did policy for then Chairman Hakeem Jeffries. So this is going to be a little more tailored toward legislative interns. So some of the things that you're probably going to be working on later on in your internship, if you're given more opportunities, are going to be some legislative memos, some remarks, vote recommendations, potential co-sponsorships, and the things that we're going to go over now, which is emails. But before we do that, it's really, really, really important that you operationalize your work. So when you're getting an assignment, you're going to want to make sure you do not oversell yourself. That you can, you ask for something, they give you a timeline, make sure that you can manage that expectation to get it done. Otherwise, if it's late, that's not going to really look that great for you. And this last point is going to be really, really, really important. So I remember when I was an intern, there was another intern that was working with me that it seemed like every 20 minutes, they would go to one of the LAs or the LD and ask just one question over and over and over again. And I could tell that it was really getting on a lot of the staff's nerves. So the reason why I say this is if you have a question, it may be urgent, but everybody is doing a million things all the time. So my suggestion to you all is, instead of asking one question, you think of a few questions and batch them together, and then when the opportunity presents itself, you go to your colleague or the staffer and give them that list so you can knock them all out, together. Because the time is of the essence. Everybody, like I said, is doing so much all the time. And staffers don't have time to answer all of these questions, especially, to be honest, when it's pretty remedial things sometimes. And so make sure you're compiling all of your questions to save everybody's time. So email etiquette is also extremely important. The first thing you're going to want to do is create an email signature if you haven't. The reason why this is important is because it helps other people know who you are, what office you are representing. It may be some of your colleagues that don't know you yet, or it may be some people in other offices. Second, tone matters. You want to make sure that your tone is professional, kind, and it really matters, because if you're going to be passive or even aggressive in emails, that kind of stuff follows you through your internship. So make sure that you strike a balance in your tone. It's also crucial that you write the message before filling out the sending address. I know this sounds easy, but I have heard horror stories of people sending things to colleagues, even listservs of hundreds or thousands of staffers with mistakes, wrong attachments, misspellings, all of those things could potentially reflect poorly on you. And you want to make sure that everything in your body and your attachments, all of that stuff is double checked and ready to go. The last thing you want to do is fill in the sending address, because again, you don't want to be known as that person that sent something too early. So we're going to go over 2 examples really quickly. So this is example 1. It says in the subject line, project completed. Hey, comma, I was able to complete the project today. The file is attached. Reach out if you have any questions. Thanks, Taylor. As you all probably can tell, there are a myriad of things wrong with this email. First being the subject line. Project completed. If I am sending this to an LA or even an LD, they're getting dozens, if not hundreds of emails every single day. If they get a subject line in their inbox looking like this, they're not going to know what in the heck you're talking about. So you need to make sure that you're crystal clear in the subject line what this email is referring to. Second, it says, hey, maybe your office is okay with a hey in the introduction, but make sure you're addressing the person by name. That is going to be extremely important, and another thing that is really, really professional. I was able to complete the project today. What project? What was the timeline? Thanks for completing it today, but it doesn't give me enough information to know what this is. The file is attached. No, it's not. Again, these are all things that add up. So make sure that you're double checking all of your work before you send this. Of course, thanks, it's fine, but not the most professional. And then the little dash Taylor could use some work. So here's a better example of something that you would want to send to either a colleague or your boss. Project complete, U.S. Quarterly Economic Report. That makes a lot of sense. They know in the subject line what the project is and what it's referring to. Hi, Anne. So in this case, I'm talking to the wonderful Anne Meeker, who just walked in. So hi, Anne. I hope you're doing well today. Attached, you will find a Word doc copy of the U.S. Economic Quarterly Report project that you assigned to me earlier this week. Again, referring to the timeline. Please reach out if you have any questions. I'm looking forward to working with you more on projects like these in the future. Thank you for the opportunity. Best, Taylor. And of course, down at the bottom, we see that this report is attached. And the thing that I also want to mention is that it says attached, you will find a Word doc copy. Make sure you refer what kind of document this is, because sometimes it can be an XMLS document, it can be a PDF, it can be a Word doc. These little things, like I mentioned, all add up to what your professional tenor is as an intern. So I hope you all were taking notes. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know this seems very, very rudimentary, but if you want to make sure that you stand out and make a difference, these things all add up to all of the staffers that are doing so much work every single day. So just want to make sure you all have this with you. And with that, thank you so much. Oh, wait, no, I have one more. Wait a minute. Could not have a T-Swift joke in here. So one more thing. If your office has a style guide, make sure you use the style guide. It is so crucial for all of you to understand what capitalization they use, what punctuation, whether or not they use double spaces after periods. I know this sounds crazy. All 3 of the offices that I worked for had different things when it comes to double spaces and the Oxford comma. Same with parentheses and brackets. It's also important for you to ask if your office has a style guide, because some don't. And if they don't, maybe you should offer to make one, right? If you are able to make one for your office to help bring everybody up to speed and on the same page, that is another way that you all can stand out to help make a tangible difference during this internship opportunity. So I know I'm the problem, it's me, but thanks so much for listening today. So thank you.